Hello and welcome to Euro Football Daily, where today we're picking out 10 players who could dominate Europe's premier club competition next season. Number 10, Naby Keita. New Liverpudlian Naby Keita has always been an EFD favourite. His defensive and attacking output make him the complete midfielder, and his £60 million fee may look like the bargain of the summer come the end of the season. Although last campaign wasn't Keita's best, having contributed to fewer goals than he did the previous year, he was able to enjoy his first Champions League experience, playing in the group stages with RB Leipzig. Though they were eventually knocked out into the Europa League, he scored twice and also featured in a 4-1 away win against Monaco. But the reason the midfielder is so good is his ability to do a bit of everything. In 17-18, the 23-year-old was creating 1.9 chances a game, that's better than Paul Pogba, making 4.2 tackles and interceptions, and beating his man 3.4 times a match. His assets will allow Liverpool to link their defence to attack even faster and make their counter-attack more lethal, which is frightening considering they scored the most goals ever in the competition last season with 47 in 15 matches. That's an average of 3.1 a game. Most likely to be partnered with fellow newbie Fabinho, Keita will be allowed a freer role in the midfield and could bring even more out of Liverpool's front three, who each scored 10 goals in the Champions League. Though they didn't win it last year, with these new additions and Keita on top form, who knows what could happen. Number 9, Nabil Fekir. After a successful campaign which ended in a third place finish, Lyon will be back in the Champions League, having failed to qualify the previous season, and a lot of the credit has to go to Nabil Fekir. The newly minted World Cup winner scored 18 goals and assisted 8 in 30 appearances for Lyon. That's the second best return at the club, and the only player who did better was Memphis Depay, who played 6 games more. Fekir's importance to the side was shown in the Europa League. He played 8 games in the competition, but picked up a knee injury and had to sit out the last 16 fixture against CSKA Moscow, and subsequently, Lyon lost. Sadly, injury is a persistent problem for Fekir. He missed 49 games through knee injuries in his career so far, but his ability to bounce back is impressive. After missing 5 matches near the tail end of last season, he contributed to a goal every 103 minutes on his return until the end of the campaign. He also adds set-piece expertise. Last year, he put 3 away from direct free kicks, that's the same number as Neymar, and in the last 4 years has scored triple the number that Cristiano Ronaldo has for Real Madrid. Now, by the time the competition starts, Fekir may or may not still be in France, but one thing is for sure, he has the potential to take the competition by storm. Number 8, Mauro Icardi. Inter Milan only qualified for the Champions League on the last day of the Serie A season after beating Lazio. The weird thing about that was that Lazio defender Stefan de Vrij gave away a decisive penalty, and he knew he was moving to Inter next season. But without Mauro Icardi, the club would never have had a chance of making it into European competition in the first place. The Argentinian scored 29 league goals last year, meaning he's now contributed to over 20 goals in the league for 4 seasons running, and he became the 6th youngest player in Serie A history to reach 100 goals at the age of 25. What's arguably most frightening about the striker is that he's increased his scoring rate every single year since his first Serie A goal back in 2012. Remarkably, he's yet to feature in the Champions League, but this season defenders will be frightened of his clinical finishing. In a game against Sampdoria in 17-18, Icardi only had 14 touches of the ball but scored 4 goals, while Valero, who came into the match for just 10 minutes, managed more touches. He currently takes 3 shots a game with 2.7 inside the box. Compare that to Gonzalo Higuain, who gets off just 2.2 inside the area. With links already to top clubs like Chelsea and Real Madrid, an impressive run in the Champions League could raise Icardi's worth even further. Transfermarkt have currently tagged him at £85.5 million, and though he didn't go to the World Cup, that might have actually helped, as he wasn't a part of Argentina's demise, and it'll allow him to be fresh and fighting for his first season in European top competition. Number 7, Philippe Coutinho. Philippe Coutinho will be relishing the prospect of finally playing for Barcelona in the Champions League this season. The 26-year-old's January move meant he was forced to sit on the sidelines while Barca surrendered a 3-goal lead in a miserable April night in Rome. To add to the pain, he also had to watch his former side Liverpool swagger to the Champions League final and not be able to play a part. The attacker had previously caught the eye in that red-hot Liverpool front four, The Brazilian averaged better than a goal a game in the Champions League before his move, scoring 5 times and assisting his teammates twice, as the Reds breezed their way through Group E. Coutinho has also added consistency to his game, which will worry his Champions League opponents. He was involved in 44 goals for club and country in the 17-18 season, averaging a goal involvement every 110 minutes. That's impressive considering his previous career stats, only being involved in 30 goals in his first 3 seasons at Anfield. The little magician will also be encouraged by his individual performance in Russia. At the World Cup, he scored twice and assisted another 2 of Brazil's 7 goals in the tournament. His red-hot form makes it look likely that Coutinho's debut Champions League season for Barca could be an exciting one. Number 6. Kevin De Bruyne. Somehow Kevin De Bruyne looks to be going from strength to strength following his League Cup and Premier League winning season. The 27-year-old starred as Belgium reached the semi-finals of the Russian World Cup, his season epitomised by an incredible 25-yard arrowed strike into the bottom corner against Brazil in the quarter-final. De Bruyne managed to accumulate an impressive 82% pass completion in last season's Champions League and created 13 clear-cut chances in 8 games. But he's yet to match his breakthrough Europa League season for Wolfsburg, when he was involved in 10 goals in 11 matches. However, we're starting to see his domestic form move onto the European stage. Last year, he won Barclays Premier League Playmaker of the Season award, the inaugural edition, with 16 assists. He was also responsible for securing Man City's Centurion status with a beautiful lofted ball to Gabriel Jesus against Southampton. If Pep Guardiola finally wants to win a Champions League outside of Barcelona, the responsibility may fall on De Bruyne's shoulders. The former Genk and Wolfsburg man will need to deliver the man-of-the-match performances everyone knows he's capable of. But at this point, who's going to doubt him? Number 5. Isco. To be honest, we could have picked any member of the Real Madrid side to be a contender to dominate the Champions League next season. Los Blancos' hugely talented squad has seen them win 4 Champions Leagues in 5 years, including a record-breaking 3 in a row. But our top pick is Isco, as the Spaniard has slowly but surely asserted himself as a vastly important and somewhat underrated Galactico. He only scored once on the way to Real's 13th European Cup triumph, despite appearing in 10 games last season, but that isn't the whole story. After a slow start to the 17-18 campaign, he eventually flourished in a 4-3-1-2 system that managed to keep Gareth Bale out of the Madrid team. He produced an excellent performance in Real Madrid's 3-0 semi-final win in Turin, having 68 touches, 1 assist, and completing 54 passes with a faultless 100% accuracy. He's also recently excelled for his national side, being directly involved in 12 goals in his last 15 international appearances and scoring 10. That's more than any other Spanish player since 2017, and with Ronaldo finally departing for Juventus, it could allow Isco to flourish. We look forward to seeing those silky skills and brilliant dribbling on the big stage next year. Number 4. Diego Godín. Atletico Madrid somewhat surprisingly finished 3rd in their Champions League group last season as Roma and Chelsea progressed. Michy Batshuayi's stoppage time winner in late September for Chelsea was the killer blow in Atleti's campaign, as was a disappointing draw against Karabakh. But the Madrid side responded resoundingly, winning the Europa League with 2 goals for Griezmann and 1 for Gabi, coupled with the obvious Atleti clean sheet, earning them their 3rd Europa League crown in the last 9 years. Paramount in Diego Simeone's resolute playing style has been the commanding presence of 32-year-old Diego Godín. The stats behind Simeone's reign are frankly astonishing. In the 378 games he's managed, only 268 goals have been conceded, and Godín has played in 306 of those games. The Uruguayan centre-back has marshalled his team to 2 Champions League finals, 3 Europa League finals, and 1 Champions League semi-final in the 8 seasons at Los Colchoneros. Unsurprisingly, Godín had a fantastic World Cup in Russia as well, safely navigating Uruguay through a tricky Group A without conceding a goal. That's nothing new, he also achieved that feat in 2010 in South Africa. Capable of being a bludgeoning or a classy presence for his team, they eventually fell at the hands of World Cup winners France in the quarter-finals. Interestingly, Godín has been heavily linked with a summer move to Ronaldo's Juventus. Transfermarkt have valued him at €35 million, but he's got a buyout clause of $20 million, which would be a bargain for one of the best defenders in Europe. Expect him to take the Europa League winners into the competition again, or if he moves to the Bianconeri, perhaps he'll finally get his hands on the big trophy. Number 3. Mo Salah. How do you top Mo Salah's last season? Well, the answer is obviously win the Champions League this time around. The Egyptian king came agonisingly close to putting a cherry on top of his breathtaking debut season for Liverpool. His 11-goal Champions League haul surpassed Dean Saunders' 9-goal tally in the 91-92 UEFA Cup to make him the player who scored the most European goals in a single season for Liverpool, matched only by Firmino. The pace of Liverpool's attack made the most of Salah's frightening speed, and the Premier League Player of the Season scored 44 goals and assisted 14 in 52 games in all competitions. That's an astonishing goal involvement of 1.1 per 90. Hardly the typical fox in the box, Salah's unpredictability is possibly his best trait. Just 4 of his 32 Premier League goals came inside the 6-yard box. After paying £35 million for him a year ago, Liverpool now have a player worth arguably 5 times as much, and Mo Salah will want to avenge last season's Champions League final when that shoulder injury ruled him out. At this rate, who is going to bet against him having another tremendous campaign? Number 2, Kylian Mbappé. 19 years old, 2-time Ligue 1 champion, World Cup winner and potentially in the running for the Ballon d'Or, life for Kylian Mbappé is pretty good, especially given that he's only been a professional for 3 years. One of Mbappe's most impressive achievements this year was becoming the youngest player to reach 10 goals in the Champions League, and he did it in just 15 games, along with contributing to 3 assists last season too. A massive part of his game is of course his pace, and during France's match against Argentina at the World Cup, he showed how quick he was. Mbappé ran at a peak speed of 37 km per hour with the ball. To put that in context, the top speed by any footballer at the tournament was set by Cristiano Ronaldo at 38 km per hour, and he did not have the ball at his feet. Not only is Mbappé fast, but he can dribble at pace too, beating his man 3.5 times a game. That's something defenders will have to keep in mind when faced one-on-one with the teenager. In last year's Champions League campaign, PSG's number 29 managed to contribute to a goal every game he played. That's a better rate than Messi managed in the competition. With a season under his belt at his new club, we expect Mbappé to perform even better this year, and especially with new manager Thomas Tuchel at the helm. Number 1, Cristiano Ronaldo. No matter whether he's at Man United, Real Madrid or Juventus, Cristiano Ronaldo will dominate the Champions League. The Portuguese forward holds 13 individual awards in the Champions League alone, having scored the most goals in the competition overall and winning the most finals with a whopping 5. Last season, Ronaldo scored the most goals with 15 in the Champions League. That's 2 off the all-time record, which of course he holds, and the next best was Mo Salah with 4 fewer. Now 33, CR7 is supposedly coming to the tail end of his career, but his stats would almost suggest otherwise. In the 2016-17 season, Ronaldo was scoring 0.9 times per 90, an impressive return, but this year he improved it to 1.4. And that's not the only thing that looks like it's getting better with age. In 16-17, he managed 5.4 shots a game. This year, he's close to 7, with 5 of those coming from inside the box, meaning that not only is he shooting more, but he's getting better quality chances. Of course, he's also made his name on his ability to perform in the big games. In the knockout stages last season, Ronnie managed to contribute to 8 goals. And this wasn't against mediocre clubs, but champions of their nations, knocking out giants like PSG, Juventus, and Bayern Munich. No matter whether you hate him or love him, Ronaldo's statement that the competition should be renamed the CR7 Champions League has a level of arrogance you kind of have to respect. And if he were to win it for a 6th time, he may just get his way. So those are our 10 players who could dominate the Champions League next season. If you enjoyed this video, watch more of Football Daily's great content and head over to our YouTube channel and make sure you subscribe.